Hey guys, I'm getting ready to prepare everything to start the Graff or the Cider Ale Cross. You will need this is a thief and a test cup. You will need this thief. There's a hydrometer right there. You'll need these three things right here whenever you're done to check out the original gravity of the items. That way you know when it's done exactly how much alcohol is in it. You will need a airlock and a thermometer if your pot doesn't have one. Now today I'm only going to use a 3-gallon pot. You can get these pretty much just about anywhere. I do have an 8-gallon pot, but I don't need it. I'm only going to make a 1 gallon of wort to go in a 4-gallon batch of apple cider. And you will need a fermentation vessel such as a bucket or a big mouth bubbler or a carboy, whichever. Now I forgot to order a muslin bag. So I'm just going to use my all-grain bag that I use for brewing the bag. So I'm just going to use that to hold my grains. I'm going to do the hops the original way. Just dump them in there and let them boil in it and strain it out with my strainer. It's a I think they're like a 2-phase strainer. Got 2 different types of mesh levels in it, or mesh sizes. And never forget your star sand. This one here leaked out on me and all the facing came off of it, but that's what that is, a star sand. I'm getting ready to sterilize everything you see on this table as far as equipment goes, and after I'm done doing that, I'll be right back with the boil. You might also want to have a couple towels available as well. Make sure they've been cleaned with bleach. That way they will be sterilized when you put your sterile equipment on them. But I'll be back in just a moment. Alright guys, I just wanted to express this. It is very important to get everything that you've got that you're going to be using sanitized. I went ahead and done that, and I went ahead and showed you exactly everything that I was sanitizing. That way you could see that what I had done prior to actually boiling my wort. Now I'm getting ready to go boil the wort right now. We did decide to go ahead and use a Cascade hop. It was one of the ones that I had left over that had a let's see, get this dang thing to focus. It's not going to focus, is it? Well, it's 6.8% alpha. So we're going to go ahead and use that Cascade hop because the other stuff is around 10% and 13%. And we don't really want anything that bitter in our beer. So we're just going to use this one right here since it is the lighter hop. And I will not be using a full ½ ounce. I'm only going to be using just a little over 1/4 ounce. Just enough to kind of get the sweetness kind of evened out with just a little bit of bitter. You know, that tart and sweetness that you get from the apple cider. So we're going to use this right here to try to even that out a little bit. Okay, so we're going to fill the pot up with about a little over 1 gallon of water because we're only use 1 gallon, but we need it a little bit more just for boil off. But we're going to do a 1 gallon wort. We're going to get the specialty grains and everything set up here in a minute, and I'll show you those in just a minute. Let me fill this pot up. We just about got this thing filled up. I'm going to top it off with about maybe not even 1/4 gallon, just enough to get just a little bit more water in there, just for the boil off. Now my water comes out close to 130 degrees, so it shouldn't take too long to get it to 155. I'm going to get the thermometer and check the temperature right now. Once I get the temperature checked up, I'm going to turn the heat on and get it all the way up to 155. Then we'll be using my bag, and over here we have the specialty grains that I will be adding to that. However, there's a little over 1/4 ounce of hops right there we will be adding at the beginning of the boil, and I'll be back with you in just a moment. Alright guys, I'm back. Don't know if you can see that or not, but my water right out of the faucet right there says 128.3. So I'm going to go ahead and get this here started. I'm going to turn it on and get it up to about 160, around 160, 165 degrees. And what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to get my grains together and drop them in there and just let them soak for about 30 minutes. And I'll be back as soon as I get the grains together, guys. Alright guys, we got the grain bag in here and we got the water at 165 degrees. I want to add my 120 caramel malts in there right now. That is about 8 ounces of those. And I've got 1½ ounce. I got about 1½ ounces of torrefied wheat in there. And we're going to go ahead and get this stirred up. Get it all stirred up, and then we're going to let it sit for 30 minutes. Alright guys, so this had just ended for the first 30 minutes. I was letting the grains sit in here and steep in 155 degree water. I'm going to go ahead and raise this up and let them drain out. Let them drain out a couple of minutes, and Once they drain out, I'm going to go ahead and add the dry malt extracts, the dark and the sparkling amber. And then I'm going to start the boil, and I'll be back with you shortly. Okay guys, I'm getting ready to do the boil. I started it up right now. I just want to show you how dark this is. See how dark that is? That's on Caramel 120 malts. And that darkness is going to add to the cider and make the cider darker than it would normally be. I'm going to go ahead right now. I'm going to add the Bryce Dark Traditional Malts. Get this here in there before it starts boiling. Get it all mixed in there good. Get those in. Give it a good stir. Let me get these here grains off of here. And give it a good stir. Get them all mixed up. And what this is going to do is going to add some more sweetness. I know that this cider itself only has a gravity of 1.045. We're really aiming for closer to 1.070 because we want this thing to have close to 9% alcohol when it's done. It's going to be more of a wine type alcohol level is what we're looking for. We'll get these here all mixed up. And you see how simple this is. It's pretty simple. There's nothing really that hard about it at all. Just get the stuff mixed up and get it in there. And as soon as it starts to boil, you add your hops and you boil it for 30 minutes. All right, guys, I'm getting ready to start the boil right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw in my hops. It is just a little over a quarter of an ounce of hops. And that is basically going to help even out the tartness and the sweetness in this. Just give it a little bit of bitter, not a whole lot of bitter. It's like I said, it's like a quarter of an ounce of hops for an entire 5-gallon batch. So let's hope it just is just the right amount to give it that perfect taste. And we'll go ahead and start our timer right now. And we'll be back as soon as the boil is over. I'm going to, well, not as soon as the boil is over. What I'm going to do is, as soon as the boil is over, I'm going to cool this wort down to about 80 degrees, maybe a little bit, maybe 90 degrees. And then I'm going to take the 2 jugs that I've got that's cold inside the refrigerator. I'm going to take the 2 jugs that's cold inside the refrigerator, and I'm going to add it to the wort, and it's going to cool it off. And I'm going to take the other 6 jugs and add it to the wort, and then we're going to see what the temperature is there, and then we're going to add our aeration by taking this this paddle, this mash paddle right here, and we're going to take this mash paddle and we're going to aerate it and get the wort all aerated so we can add the yeast to it, and then we can put the cap on it and then the airlock, and we'll be back as soon as we get ready to do that. Guys, I'm back. We're getting ready to drop the wort into the bucket. The wort has cooled off to about 89 degrees. I do have 2 chilled bottles of apple juice, and that apple juice is going to cool it all the way down to about 70 degrees, maybe a little bit more than that. But I also have 6 bottles of room temperature apple juice, and we will be throwing that in there as well, so to raise the temperature back up in case it went down a little too low. We're getting ready to add the cider in there right now and strain it. And we're going to strain it through the strainer right there. Just a moment, and I'll be right with you. We're going to go ahead and dump this in here. There should be about a gallon of good sticking wort in here. And we got the strainer here to get out any kind of particles that might be left over. And not only there's particles, there's also the hops that are in there as well. Now, you can add some water to this if it's necessary on the end game. We will find out here shortly. I'm going to sterilize this spoon real quick so I can use it to clean up some of that drainage so it can drain easier. Move the hops around like this right here inside there and help it out some. Because this wort is pretty thick too. My hands are sterilized. Wow, that's really sweet. Perfect amount of bitterness in that as well. The bitterness will lighten up after it sits inside the fermenter for about a week or so. But I wanted that bitterness in there to help even out some of that tart and sweetness that's going to be in this. And you see how dark that is too. That's going to make that cider even darker. And that's what I was looking for as well. This is the most tedious part of the whole thing, is getting the wort done and getting it inside of here and making sure everything's sterilized. But after that, everything's pretty simple, because as soon as we're done doing this, as soon as this is done drained, all we do is add the apple cider, throw the yeast in, cap it off, and throw in the airlock. And once all that's done, you just let it sit for a week or two in the fermenter. It's pretty simple. It takes about an hour and a half to get the wort. This is about what it took for this right here. It took about an hour and a half to get all this wort together. And the whole entire process probably takes close to 2 hours, guys. Go ahead and smack it out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and stop the camera for right now. I'm going to go empty this up, and I'll be back in just a moment. Alright guys, I'm back. I'm going to go ahead and start adding my apple juice. And it's not really, I mean, like I said, it's not that hard. You just take the apple juice and just pour it in here. This will also help aerate it as well. Just dump your apple juice in there. Once I'm done dumping the apple juice, I'll bring the camera back, and then I'm going to show you how to get your original gravity on this, so we can figure out what the alcohol level is going to be at the end of the fermentation. Okay, all of us together, and we're mixing it together. Can you bring the camera down here closer to it, please? Check how dark that is. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted a darker cider. I'm getting ready to pull some out and put it in my test cup, and we're getting ready to check to see how much alcohol, or how much what's the original gravity of this is. That way we can determine at least close to what the alcohol level is going to be at the end game. We'll be back in just a second. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get the yeast. Cut the yeast open here. It's been sterilized. Everything here has been sterilized, so make sure you sterilize everything, even your yeast packet. And we're going to drop the yeast in here. Now that we're done doing that, we're going to take our lid, put it on top. Make sure your airlock port is on the opposite side of your handle. That way it doesn't smack it when it's coming up. And fill your airlock with sanitizer to the spot it's supposed to be at. And just drop it right in there and let it sit for... I put it in our little... Hey guys, I'm sorry about that. My dang camera died on me again. But anyways, basically you just put the airlock in there, you take it and you put it into a cool or warm dark place. Around in between 65 and 70 degrees is fine. 80 degrees is even good, but you know, just somewhere room temperature, and let it ferment for a week. Go back and check it. If it's not done, then go ahead and let it ferment for another week. If you've got a secondary, go ahead and toss it in secondary for a week. It'll just clear up and make it better at the end. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and holler back at your boy. Y'all keep brewing.